Hello guys! Today I'm going to talk about another TED Talk podcast. It's called How Changing Your Story Can Change Your Life. And it was actually given by a therapist named Lori Gottlieb. She talks about how we all have stories about our past and what we've been through and why we are the way we are. And that's okay, but we have to remember that we're in control of our story. What is our story going to be next year, or in 5 years, or in 10 years? Are we still going to be a victim to that thing that happened to us in the past? Or can we change our story and basically become the hero of our own story? One really interesting thing that she does talk about is the different perspectives. So for example, in a relationship, one person has a completely different idea than maybe their partner has, but maybe they want the exact same thing. So trying to change your perspective on a situation can really help you to understand what the other person needs out of it. And I think the most interesting thing she talks about in terms of changing our stories is how we sometimes are incapable of seeing the whole story. So we just fit into this narrative that kind of supported us at the time. The important thing is to start to change that narrative, to see the parts of ourselves that need to change, as opposed to just saying, well, that was so-and-so's fault, or that was the circumstance. Probably partly true, but what role did we play in that situation? Or what role do we play in it now if we continue to use that situation as a justification or a reason for something we do or don't do? So it's kind of interesting to think about your life and who you are, what you're doing in the future, and what has happened in the past as a story that is constantly changing, and how you can take responsibility to say, I don't want that to be my story anymore. Yes, that thing may have happened, but how can I change it? How can I change my future? How can I make sure it doesn't happen again? And what role did I play in it, if any? Or just what role does my perspective at the time play in it? And how has that perspective changed through time as I have changed, right? So perspective is so interesting. It's so interesting. One thing that it made me think of, she talked about when a friend tells you a story, and depending on the friendship, you might just say oh gosh, that's terrible. I 100% agree with you, right? But one way that I can see who my closest friends are the friends that say, oh, yes, that sucks, I have empathy for you, but did you notice this, And the speaker, Lori, she called it a compassionate truth bomb. So just sort of showing the person, or having a friend show you the part of the perspective you're missing, the part of the story that you're leaving out, because we don't always do it on purpose. When we're narrating our lives, sometimes we leave out certain things that might cause us to have to change if we acknowledge it, or might cause us to take some of the blame if we acknowledge it. Change takes work, but it's totally worth it. Anyway, look below and you'll find the link to this podcast, so if you want to listen to it, go for it. It's really interesting. If you like this video, follow me on Facebook and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bye!